Hi guys, welcome to Here for the Instagram followers. I'm Maritza.
And I'm Willow.
And this episode was a real whirlwind. Like people were leaving left and right, coming in left and right, and it was just
Matt was
geez.
really, cleaning house happened for sure. We said goodbye to a lot of people, which kind of at the end, with the also double rose ceremony here. Crazy. It's so weird with the way they've been doing the editing of these episodes this season. I've not been digging it at all. But besides
No.
that, um, we went into the last rose ceremony, right, with only sending one person home. It was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, and originally like supposed to be sending four people home, but like they started having like conversations that like had to be needed and like basically like where are we at? And it really cleared the plate for him.
Yeah. But we started out with getting back with where we left off, seeing Heather coming in. And I feel so bad for Heather the way this went. She just wasted her time. Matt in the end just laughed way too hard again. And I just, do you want to get into it?
It was just like really like mean girl-esque that I saw sides of these girls that I didn't really think I would be seeing. And like
Mm-hmm.
I get it, like they've been here for the past 7 weeks, like it's a little too late, but like the way like they treated her was just not right, especially that thing that she had to go through. She literally flew from San Diego to Pennsylvania, like
Yeah, and it
through the
actually
whole
does seem
COVID.
like she did this all on her own accord on her own bank account. Like, I actually heard that she'd been trying to get onto the show, onto the season earlier on, and production told her no, basically. And that I think that she just kind of showed up, and they still knew she was coming and she was gonna just show up, but like there was a lot of debate about it, and it was basically like, if you want to pay for it yourself, you can come, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
basically.
she did.
And in the end, like wasted her money, time, like
Yeah, and these girls, like you said, were brutal. Like as soon as Heather walks into the room, they're all like, "Who are you? What season were you on?" Piper says, "Oh, you're bachelor hopping." One of the girls under their breath jokes like, "Just go home."
no, yeah. It was funny though, because when Heather was having her conversation with Matt, literally Chelsea and Jasenia were like peeping Tom over the window, like looking at the conversation. They're like, "Are they kissing? Are they kissing?" And they're like, "No, they're just talking." And
Mhm.
it literally, what sent me was how Piper was being super dramatic and she was crying, having a breakdown for having her time taken away from Matt, even though this girlie out here, she had her one-on-one date with him already. Like she had a whole day with him to talk. So
Literally,
like,
but Piper, we've seen her be dramatic like that before too. This isn't the first
yeah,
time.
obviously, yeah. So like, honestly, I don't know. It was like 3 minutes is not gonna hurt you, Piper. Like, come on.
Yeah, but
But
the
like,
bachelor hopping joke, oh my god,
really, Piper was
that
like,
had
cause
me.
like she was like bash shopping out here, and it's just like they were all popping off on her, and like Piper was like, I need a formal apology, and I'm like,
Yes. I
uh.
know. And like Serena is up in the house comparing her to a virus. And Rachel seemed a little drunk in this scene and she was getting super butthurt too, even. And she usually stays out of the drama. I was surprised.
Exactly. I was surprised that even Jasenia was like, even though she like sometimes inserts herself in like then and there, but like
Yeah.
this time around she was putting like those hard hitting questions to her. She was like, so like why are you here? This and that. Like it was, and then
Yeah.
Kit
And
was like,
like,
bitch, why you here? And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
bitch, what are you doing? Like, just go home. Which was so funny. But Heather does explain to them, or at least tries to say, like, if it was up to me, this isn't how I would be doing it. I would have dated him before, but yada yada. And like, honestly, I just was thinking while watching this, Hannah Brown, I feel like has become, she was the hero and now is the enemy of the Bachelor universe. Like, I think to producers, they loved her at first. She was a great bachelorette, got a lot of followers, got a lot of views for the show, represents their Christian values, is very like whitewashed,
Yeah.
Southern belle kind of girl, sweet accent and all that. super good friends and connections that they brought on other seasons. But I feel like now she's become, oh, she won Dancing with the Stars. She thinks she's a celebrity. You know, she thinks she's this big hot shot chick who can control our show. Send this random girl, like, or okay, they know who Heather is, but you know what I mean. Send Heather back to the show after we told her not to, basically, and was like encouraging her to do it. You know, I feel like she just now is kind of like weaseled in way too much. I
No,
could
yeah,
totally
for
see her
sure.
becoming a producer on the actual show at this point.
I actually was thinking the same exact thing, only because like I just felt like the Bachelor franchise was just really revolving around Hannah Brown. Like she literally the past like couple seasons, she's been popping in and out. Like
Yes.
even if she's just referenced, like let's go back to like Peter's season. Like
Yes. They
she
brought her
literally
back.
there. Yeah. So I'm like, what was the reason for this? What's the
And
point?
she's been Bachelor at twice, let alone the fact that she was already on a season with whose season was she on? Colton season?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was on Colton season, then she was Bachelorette twice, and she won Dancing with the Stars. Now she's sending Heather in, and she's been talked about on this season. It's just like she's been literally on everything.
Like the
Now
Bachelor's
Matt
become the
James
Hannah Brown
too is
show.
her friend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that whole friendship with like Hannah Brown and Matt James. So like basically said that Matt is like Matt said that Hannah Brown was like the most qualified person in his life to know who he should marry. And I'm like, y'all barely met each other a couple months ago. Like, make it make sense.
Right? I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, what the fuck? And I think that was what he was saying too when he was talking to Chris Harrison, pretending to be on the ledge about what he was going to do with her. Like, obviously, he's going to send Heather home. And he's just like, yeah, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, rubbing his hands together like he always does. I don't know what I'm going to do, but, you know, I really trust Hannah Brown. And, like, you know,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, where's Hannah Brown's quote right now? I was really waiting for Hannah Brown to come out of nowhere and be like, I'm here, you guys. I know who's your wife.
Does she get paid every time her name gets mentioned?
I
Like,
wonder that too.
like
Like,
it's crazy to me.
I don't know. ABC's really like they're pushing. I feel like Hannah Brown has a contract under ABC, not just The Bachelor, but ABC, because they're just like they're pushing her everywhere.
Yeah. And then Matt gets back to talking to Heather, and he basically just is like, you know, when I first saw you, I was totally in shock. And he basically explains that he sees his wife in that room right now, and he's really progressed a lot farther along with some relationships. And, you know, he can't keep her here and send someone else home that he's been developing a relationship with by keeping her here, and like try to grow that when we're so close to proposal and things like that. So, you know, which Heather is just like, I'm here, like, I can be serious about this. I'm taking this super seriously, you know, and he's just like, well, if circumstances had been different, you know, like, it just kind of felt like awkward watching this breakup because, yeah.
I think the whole like interaction with Heather, with Matt, with the girls was just uncomfortable and awkward in general. Oh, I forgot to
100%.
mention this part that Serena C literally told Heather when she like started explaining herself. She was like, "Okay, just talk about it in an interview. I don't want to hear your tears."
And
I
she
was like,
fucking does. She does. She goes to an interview and cries in it immediately after Serena said that, which
exactly.
was
I was
so
like,
funny.
wow, it's the bitchiness. Whoa. But no, I literally like I think Heather really expected. I don't know what else Heather expected. If you're gonna come in here this deep, you already knowing how the process works, you knowing that hometown is literally like the week after, like I don't know.
I mean, I think she had been trying to get on earlier, remember that. And producers had kind of stopped that. So I think this was her last ditch effort to get on the show. And it just so happened that it happened to be really late. I think she was probably trying to get on around like week 2, maybe, when the other girls got introduced. For all we know, she could have come then and then they sent her home and had her come back. Like, we don't know that. But
I do have to say though that her little sad minivan drive away was I don't know, it was probably one of the saddest like drives. I was
just gonna say that was the most depressing thing ever. And I was so confused though, because she then does an interview back at the house that she drove away from, and I'm like, did they have her drive away to get the shot of her crying, come back, and then drive her ass back away later on?
unless he already told her that he was like gonna drop her basically at the house, did her interview, and then they walked away. He was like, I'll wait for you to do your interview, and then they walked away.
And then he walks her out.
Yeah.
That's just awkward though, even more.
The whole thing was
So it's so edited. Oh my God. Anyways, so then Matt comes back to the girls and he apologizes to all them for taking up the time. And, I think he apologizes to Piper, but he does not pull her aside, right?
No, he did pull her aside, finish the conversation.
He did? Okay, then I did not write anything down from it.
No, me neither. I just know I was like, they pulled her aside. They talked.
I think they
like,
just kissed. They just like made out.
Yeah, probably.
So
like, okay, no better.
Yeah. So at the rose ceremony, we have going in Michelle and Piper have roses. There's 6 roses that are going to be going out and 8 people staying total. And Matt once again reminds them that he sees his wife in this group. And yet again, first rose goes to Brie. How many has she gotten this season? I feel like every ceremony is her first, like every time.
I feel like, yeah, this time around it was it, and then I feel like every time I remember it's her. Which, we already know that she was like one of the like front runners in this whole thing, just because how much they have in common. But I'm not surprised. And then obviously the second one goes to Rachel. Races Rachel out here.
Mm-hmm. Then we go to, I believe, Kit, Justenia, and Abigail. And I think we had one more in there.
Serena P.
Okay. And then we send home Chelsea and Serena C, which were our predictions last week, I believe.
Yeah. I just like they like out of everyone, it was like saw it coming.
Totally. And I just from there, I think we had the next day, we go in and Chris Harrison comes in and basically gives the rundown of this upcoming week. He says we have hometowns next week. And so this week we have 2 one-on-one dates and a group date, which the group date, for whatever reason, we'll get into it later, but we just see the evening portion.
I was about to say that. I was so confused. So, but here's the whole thing, the whole shaw about the group date. Should I get into it or should I just wait till the end?
Maybe we can just get into it and then we can just go to the one-on-ones.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that I just want to get into like the shot of how they were getting ready for the day portion of the group date. I know it's because I was looking at Kit's like little like knit sweater and I was like, oh my God, it's so cute. And then they're like getting ready. And then we go straight to the evening portion, but they're making things completely different. And that's why I was
so they did film a portion of the date. There was a group date, like day portion.
I guess there was a day portion, but they just didn't put it in there. And I was like, what?
Okay, I have 2 ideas. One, was it heavily hosted by Chris Harrison involved, and they made the decision to edit it out due to the recent circumstances? Or was it a situation where I think they've done this other times on this season even, of like the date was too dramatic, the date was too emotional, the date was too brutal, the date was too like out of touch with the current tone of the country or something, you know what I mean? So they just chose to remove it.
That could be too. The Bachelor already has enough drama on their plates that they're like, I think we're just gonna step out on the rest of it.
Yeah, it's bad. So that was, the group date too, the gist, not much, since we're all talking about it now, not too much happened on it. It was Piper, Michelle, Rachel, Brie, Kit, and Abigail. And Abigail on the group date was really worried about not getting time. And what like else kind of, that was like the main thing. She got her conversation with Matt, right? And that's kind of when everything goes awry.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'm like scrolling. We like skipped a bunch.
I know we like skipped. Okay, so it's so funny because we like just don't ever go out of order. I was like, yeah, this will be easier to talk about.
Yeah, no. You know what? Let's just go back up to the one-on-one day and then we'll return back to the group day.
Okay. Rematch.
At the one-on-one date though, so the one-on-one, the only 2 girls I haven't had one-on-ones is Abigail and Jasenia, and both of them were expecting to get those one-on-ones. Surprisingly, Serena P got the one-on-one, and she's already had one. So Abigail and Giselle were both really like hurt about it.
I'm also not surprised, though, however, that Serena P did get this one-on-one, because it has been a long time since he's had a one-on-one time with her. And obviously, he had his mindset on what he wanted to do with both Jasenia and Abigail, which we see later in the episode. And so I feel like he really was like, okay, this is someone I had a genuine connection with. Do I still have that?
Exactly. Although I think this date really set off like a tone that they're indifferent. They're really different. Like that's not gonna work.
I wouldn't see it. Yeah.
So what they do is that they do tantric yoga, and basically tantric yoga is like sexual positions and yoga, basically. So,
also, damn, Serena P having to be hella strong to do some of these poses, like shit. And they're both so flexible.
Oh my God, she was just like bending her back, and I was like, oh my God, how?
Anyways, funny as shit. Serena P is a more closed off, less personal affection PDA person. Matt, on the other hand, does like that. And the entire date, he felt like he was really, really connecting with Serena on a deeper level that they have never been on. Meanwhile, Serena is just like, I hated that. I never want to do it again. And I mean, like, it was funny because Matt was like, just really stark differences between them.
I feel like it was funny though, because Matt was saying like he was really taking Serena in as a person, as the cameras just have a shot of him just looking at her ass, like
right up her crotch, like
literally,
like he's holding both her legs out like this, and he's just like straight up.
It was just like, and I'm like, oh my God, of course he's enjoying this. Like, why else?
I know, it was so bad. Oh, it was so weird. But you know, they do have an honest conversation about her not being a very public display of affection type of person. And you know, he's respectful about it. He's like, I get it, you know, and he appreciated her being honest with him.
Yeah. And he ends up giving her the rose at the end of the date, but it just like it was, dude, I don't know.
Okay. Serena P is not, I don't think she expected to make it this far. I don't think that she was is actually super attracted to him. I think he is. And I think that this really makes it clear that Matt has an agenda with his season. He's making decisions and sending girls who are clearly into him home and keeping girls that aren't into him here just because that's who he likes, you know? Like, he's very selfish. And I feel like it's kind of in line with the tone that was set by his ex-roommate, you know, with how he had treated her in the household. I feel like that's definitely starting to come through now, with just like the decisions he's making and the way he's treating some girls and like clearly playing favorites with other girls. It's really sad.
I mean, honestly, I am kind of surprised Serena P made it this far too, only because, like you said, like, I mean, I kind of noted in the first one-on-one day that they're kind of different. Also, she said that she was going to be a little more slower in making the connection. So she repeated that in this date as well. But like already this far in, and like we even see it in the preview that they're like, are you actually attracted to him? Like, you don't seem like you're.
Yeah, I mean, the energy between them is just kind of a little uncomfortable, you know? Like, it's not natural. There's not like a natural spark on both sides. Maybe Matt thinks there is, but
no.
Yeah. Anyway,
then we go on to the group date, which we kind of talked about and yeah,
it basically going into this group date, a lot of key players are on the date, and they're really just trying to make sure they can fully feel where their footing is at with this process, and they want to like feel stable and confident in going into hometowns, or at least going into the rose ceremony leading up to hometowns. And so Abigail, when she gets her time with Matt finally, she says up front to him, I can see a future with you, but like, can you see one with me? Because really throughout this process, he hasn't shown that he's super, super into her other than giving her one group date rose and the first impression rose.
Exactly. And like he keeps telling Abigail, like he keeps leading her on that like he's not forgetting about her, but in the end, like he did.
Yeah, it's just like actions speak louder than words, buddy. That's all I
Exactly.
can
I'm
say.
sorry.
So, I mean, honestly, Abigail, she just gets sent home. Like, they're not on the same place. He really appreciates her honesty, but he just walks her out. And it's so funny how quickly he sends these people home. He'll be like, "Thank you for your long, dedicated, beautiful speech. Can I walk you out?"
Basically, I don't know. Abigail is just so sweet. She obviously deserves so much better. So I'm glad she's not with Matt. But like, maybe Bachelorette, maybe.
I just don't see that energy. They didn't really set up much of a narrative for her, and I feel like we didn't really get to know her at all.
No, she wasn't as like, I don't know. She didn't have as much camera time as say like Katie did.
Yeah, and like with Katie, she just had a lot of personality and a lot of like I don't know, like the camera likes her, you know?
Exactly.
She's like photogenic.
I do have to say about the other conversations that group date were really like important. Bree's conversation with Matt when she literally told him that she had to quit her job 3 days ago. And I don't
Oh
know,
my
the
god.
whole thing. She was
And
like,
he basically said, "Oh, thanks."
and I was like, bruh, she literally said that she quit her dream job. Like not only like some like 9 to 5, she quit her dream job to be there. And I'm like, I was just confused the whole time.
Literally,
Like,
dude.
I thought she was super smart. I thought she was like, she had something up here. I guess she doesn't. I was like, I know love is like a big thing and all. I know, but like your dream job, you work so hard and you leave for The Bachelor, a TV show, like. And the thing is, what's gonna suck is that she's gonna get sent home and she has no backup plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, yeah, you're not going to get anything out of this. Also, because Brie, frankly, we haven't seen much narrative with you. You haven't gotten much screen time, which means you haven't gotten very many Instagram followers out of this. And frankly, it's all about the Instagram followers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, even if you're not here for the Instagram followers and you're supposedly here for the right reasons, ultimately, that's what provides you a career after your time on the show. You're going to get off and be hella broke. Now you don't have a job or a career. And, getting hired in the middle of the pandemic isn't exactly easy.
Exactly. Also, my question is, how did her company call her 3 days ago? But like, I thought they weren't allowed phones while filming.
Um, I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just questioning like how like her company like asked her to resign her position 3 days ago, but I thought they weren't like allowed phones at filming.
Okay, I feel like we've had similar things with this before where it was like, oh, there's been a family thing. I feel like companies can contact producers, families can contact producers, and I also feel like that if it's something like this, I feel like if it's a business or something, she might still be doing some work on the side, maybe occasionally, just work related,
Mm-hmm.
since they do have a lot of downtime and things like that too. If it's something
Yeah,
that she couldn't really step aside from.
makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I was just really confused. I was like, also another thing that confused me was at the beginning of this whole day. This is prior to the group date, but The Bachelor, like I guess, is sponsored by Peloton because there's a long, or like a good long 10-second zoom in on the brand at the bike.
It's
And I was
happened on
like,
every episode, I swear to God.
yeah, I'm like, okay, so love the little sponsorship moment. Let's get back to the scene. Like, I don't know.
Seriously. And then that next day, I believe, was the day that Kit is feeling really uneasy. Or was this
It
still.
was all in
Oh,
one
no,
day. It was
this is.
all in one
Okay.
day.
So, yeah, this is still on the group date. Kit's
Yeah.
feeling really uneasy because, she's like, she has some expectations and she needs to make sure that Matt knows them, which I think are very realistic expectations. And it's also not like that unrealistic for him to be able to like be okay with it, because she just basically says, I want to finish school. I need to focus on my career. I don't want to have kids until I'm like 25, 26. Mind you, she's 21. That's only 4 or 5 years. It's not that long.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'm a long-term investment. And, I think that this is a really honest conversation and obviously super important. And I'm glad that she was able to have it considering she is so young. Because I feel like, you know, most people our age are pretty immature and aren't thinking like that.
Exactly. I do have to say though that she kind of said that she didn't want to get married then and there. Like, and
I
when
think she was
she's,
suggesting she wanted to be engaged for like a couple of years.
yeah, which I was like, I mean, I guess, but like, I don't know. I see Kit and I see here for the Instagram followers. Like,
No,
I
I
don't see
totally,
here.
I do too. But the fact that she had this conversation, I feel like does mean there is a thread of honesty in her wanting to be there, and like
Yeah, exactly.
of a thread of for the right reasons, I think.
She
But
was definitely surprised that it didn't scare him away. It was like,
totally. However, you know, things obviously okay. Well, the day wraps up and Kit still feels like she feels confident that she's going to get the rose, which is why I think she gets put off later when Rachel gets the rose and gets special one-on-one time with Matt, which is like an amazing little mini date.
yeah. Which I just felt horrible. I felt horrible, especially for Brie, because she literally just told him that she quit his job, and like everyone's literally there heartbroken as they basically get serenaded, Rachel and Matt, and
Rachel didn't
danced.
do
Like
anything.
Rachel literally didn't do anything. She was just like, I'm here. And then he was like, I literally think about you all the time. And she was like, oh, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I'm like, yeah. She was like, oh, thank you. It literally like Matt, like the views kind of switched. I was like, oh my
Totally.
God.
Totally. And honestly, like I think the whole Matt, this really is just really representative of the fact that you've never been on the show. Um, you wouldn't be pulling this move if you had, because you would understand what that feels like. Like, honestly, even if you're not gonna like take Brie all the way to the end, are you gonna take her to hometowns? Probably. You should have given her that rose. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna give Rachel a rose anyways. Like, you
It
know?
like it's not about the timing. Like it literally is about timing though. Like Rachel didn't do anything. I'm just so confused why like you can give Rachel the rose in the end, like, but Bree, she deserved that. You really just like broke her basically.
Yeah. And then Kit says, is my face tomato red right now because that's how it feels. And this is when really she everything changes in her, I think, for like, yeah, I really just need to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after the date, Kit ends up walking to Matt's home. And oh my God, it's like every time Matt opens the door and Kit's at the door, every time her facial expressions are like, I don't know, they give me life. But like Kit literally looks dead inside. And she ends up
Mm-hmm.
revealing to Matt like she's not ready for him to like get down on one knee tomorrow. So she ends up going home.
Yeah, she is. And meanwhile, that it was Aloe Black that was the performer that Rachel and Matt got to listen to. And such a good performance, such a cute dance. Goodbye, Kit. I'm so sorry. And that basically catches us up to Jasenia's one-on-one date.
Yeah. And Matt pulls up in a drifting in a red camera with Tony Angelo, and Matt said that he didn't drive obviously, because I was like, how can he already drift like that? What?
I
Oh.
know, but honestly, it does seem like he has some interest in like the car world, considering he's been driving around the Porsche that the show's provided him this whole season
Mm-hmm.
and things like that too. So maybe he did some back road drifting when he was in high school. Like, you never know.
Probably makes sense.
Down in the south, there's probably a lot of super uncrowded roads.
In his truck.
Yeah. But Jasenia actually does a really good job on this date with the driving and the drifting. And then Matt just pulls a straight up guy move and just crashes into everything because he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, and I just like how he destroyed the car, and I just saw everything just hanging out, and I was like, I don't know, it made me scream inside because I was like, that's such a nice car, and for you just to destroy it like that, like
It hurt. That hurt.
it hurt me. I was like, why? What was the reason?
It was like a perfectly painted red Challenger. Oh my God. And they just, I mean, it could have been from CarMax for all we know, but still,
Still, it was not worth it. Not worth it. Just for
No.
a shot, no, not worth it.
Just for, yeah, the joke, not worth it. And then later on the date, you know, Jasenia and him have more honest conversations about hometowns and just moving forward. And Jasenia jokes that her parents and her mom's probably gonna tear him apart, basically, just in terms of questioning him. But says ultimately they'll welcome him with open arms because there's nothing else for them to do.
She also realized she's falling in love with him though, which I was like, how? If y'all barely getting to know each other right now and you're already falling in love with him, huh? Like,
Right? I mean, she said it because she had to. And
yeah.
I think it's all about the gameplay here of like this is kind of a game show in a way. You have to like you want to win, you want to get as far as you can. The farther you get ensures more Instagram gain and things like that, which ensures more popularity, more sponsorships, more income, etc. And I really just feel like she said it because she knew if she doesn't, there's no way she's gonna make it away with this rose. And so she's like, yeah, I'm falling in love with you as her last resort of like, please give me this rose, which it ultimately doesn't work.
He says thanks for sharing that, but he's not there yet, which obviously makes sense. And he didn't give her the rose, but the whole time, I don't know, I felt a little weird about it because she was just smiling the whole time. Like, I get it, like she was just like trying to be like compassionate about it and like trying to just like get away with it, but like just smiling the whole time as she walked out, and I'm like, are
Girl,
you
she did
hurt?
not look that upset at all. Like I literally said, like I wrote in my notes, she does not look that upset. Like she did
No.
not care.
No. I literally was like, are you hurt? Are you happy? Are you just really, really strong and have a really good face to face your emotions? Like, I was like, here for the right reasons. Sunny, I was kind of rooting for you, but now I'm like a little,
A little turned off from Jasenia. Yeah. And well, anyways, with Jasenia's parting, it brings us into the final rose ceremony of the episode. And Piper's dress, stunning. Gotta say, which I think that was partially because she knew what was coming.
Yeah. I mean, Piper mentioned that her biggest fear was that he didn't feel the same way as she feel about him. But I was like, I feel, girly, that you already know that because he hasn't responded to you each time you say that you are falling in love with him or that you are in love with him. Like each time, it's like she said it multiple times, and each time he was like, what do you expect?
Yeah. There was with Piper, there was a physical chemistry, but I think that like real life application kind of wasn't there for Matt. Whereas with other women, there's more of that and not so much the physical chemistry, which I think we saw with who was it that had the with Abigail. It had a lot of that like real life application. She'd be a great wife, and all that. And I feel like the families could get along and things like that. But there's not that physical chemistry, which is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So our group date, we have 5 people going, or sorry, not group date, rose ceremony.
Rose
We have 5
ceremony.
people going into the rose ceremony. 2 roses are already administered and in hands. It's who has them?
Rachel and Serena P.
Yeah, Rachel and Serena P. I accidentally wrote my notes Piper and Michelle. I'm like, no, Piper and Michelle don't have roses.
No.
No, that ain't right. But anyways, do you just want to go down the list of who stays, who goes?
Yeah, so first rose goes to Bree, and then their next last rose goes to Michelle, which means that Piper goes home. And the whole time, I have to say, she was pissed. And like, Matt says, I'm sorry. And she literally like blanks him out. And she just like,
silent treatment.
She literally tries to open the door for herself. And she goes inside and she just like says nothing to Matt at all.
Yeah, she's like, fuck you, I'm done. Like, I'm over it. Like, to be honest, she asked for so much from him throughout the entire season. He never gave it to her. And she was just trying to give him things. And like, she was really honest. I know last week I gave her some shit for like, oh, you opened up, but I feel like you could have opened up more. But like saying what she said about her family, never really saying they loved her and things like that, that was like really hard and really difficult and super raw, you know?
Yeah.
And for someone who came from a family like that, she did open up a lot on the show to somebody on national TV, and he just didn't give her really anything the entire time. Like, I
Yeah.
feel for her.
I feel like she was set up to go home since the beginning, kind of. And like it's just kind of sad because like she even mentioned that like she's not someone to put her emotions out that easily, and she literally did for this show. And the fact that like she wasn't like given that same recognition that she deserved, like it
Totally.
was just, it was sad.
Yeah. And I will say this. I do think that Piper has a lot of growing up to do before she's ready for a long-term relationship, because she did say in the car that she put her weakness and happiness on the table for nothing, and it was just a big waste of time. She explains that that's not who she is. She's not someone who blindly follows their feelings and emotions. And she just says, like, she wishes she had stuck to being like that because it's better than feeling like your entire soul was stomped on. And like, I can understand that because I've had that mindset myself in the past at times, but it's just so numbing and unhealthy because you're not actually facing your emotions and you're not like living to your full extent. Because I feel like once you feel things fully and you're able to like understand complex emotions like that, you're able to then be ready for something like love, which is so much bigger.
Exactly. Like always being in that like state of fear that like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna put my real person outside. I'm just gonna stay in my own zone. Like it just,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a plan for being destroyed mentally. I don't know.
Yeah. And so next week, it seems like a shit show overall. That's all I can say basically. Seems like going into all of hometowns, Michelle's feeling overwhelmed. Everything feels too fast. Serena's family is like, protect yourself. Rachel's family seems hella cold. I mean, I don't know. This edit gave me Marvel movie or like horror movie vibes, like of a like trailer. It was so weird.
Oh my God. Speaking of that, I saw a meme on Instagram and it was like literally a scene of Get Out. Have you seen the movie Get Out? Oh
Get
my
out.
God. And then literally that like they're like, this is like Rachel's hometown date, how it's gonna go. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, it seems like someone's gonna fucking die parachuting. Like, what the hell?
Bro, the end.
Like, is Rachel
They
or like?
literally, it bent her. She was like, oh my God, no.
Okay, here's what I think. My prediction for the parachute injury. I predict that everything went fine. They just fell over when they landed. And Matt's being like, let me be hero, and come running over. Like, she just like, you know, when like it can be a hard landing sometimes.
Yeah.
And they just like crumbled that maybe. But like
It was
I hope
so
that
funny
like
though. But no, actually, what I'm thinking is the Bachelor's super calculated at this point. I think they threw a dummy out there, and the dummy literally flipped. And then and,
Mythbusters just like and crashing and
and here's the thing though, and then they have a different shot of Matt just running to the plane. He's like, at this point, he's not running to the dummy. Literally, they just cut everything in there, and they're like, "Oh my God,
like,
it's
they like
Rachel."
they like put I was gonna say they like have the dummy in a like in like just a jumpsuit with like the parachute on his back, and like they like glue a wig on it so it looks like Rachel. And then like they just edit Rachel in, you know, and then she's just like on the ground with like
No,
straw in her hair.
Bro, it seemed like because that back bend, it was she's like, bah, and I'm like, oh no. They said she didn't do gymnastics. I was like, oh no.
Dude, here's the thing. It can't be too serious because with like injuries, they always hint at it all season. Like, if that was true, they'd be cutting that shot in from like day one. Like,
Exactly. I was like, if someone died, bro, you should have mentioned that a long time ago.
this will be the most dramatic season ever.
Oh, literally. There's a death.
Literally.
2 deaths. Rachel's hometown and then Rachel's date.
I'm like, what's gonna happen after this? Like, they're gonna be like, okay, next up, don't feed the women for 7 days. Put them in a room with 1 plate of food. Go.
I'm
We'll survive.
bruh. Honestly, I think that's how all the dates go. They never eat any of the food in the end.
I know, right? Oh my god. Although I do like this extra scene, Serena cracking Michelle's back and she's like knocking out some push-ups for the camera, which I thought
Oh
was
my
funny.
god. I love how Michelle was doing push-ups to look good for the camera. I was like, this girl's a little beast.
Okay, but
I
you know
was
how
like,
she does also. Like, I saw her in the rose ceremony and I was like, she looks so good.
her biceps are bigger than Matt's, and
Her
that's just
pecs?
props.
Dude, she's got like actual pecs. Like
Exactly.
she's got muscle. There's no boob,
She's
it's all muscle.
literally, I am like, this woman is literally like, she's a bodybuilder, and I'm like, she's powerful. I'm like, I don't want to mess with her. Like, if she gets sent home, like, Matt better start running.
This woman is like the chick who in the emergency is like scaling the building carrying 3 children under her arm and everyone's like what, and she's just like I don't know, it's just like adrenaline or something. You know, like that's
Michelle's
Michelle.
that person. She's the adrenaline junkie for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, that was this last episode 7 of Matt James's season recap, and this has been Here for the Instagram followers. I'm Willow.
I'm Maritza. Thanks for listening. Bye.